Good morning. Hi, it's Donald and Mary, and we're here to bring you some information from our Grateful Hiker Guide on how or what to do after you've finished gathering your gear. You have an idea on how you want to or what you want to do when you fly into Atlanta or bus or train into Gainesville or Atlanta. Um, After you figured that all out, you want to go ahead and figure out your shuttle service. So the best thing to do um, is to,
I would say contact shuttle drivers ahead of time before you book a ticket, regardless of which way you're coming in. Even if you're coming in a rental car, because they're coming in on a specific date,
sure.
and you want to make sure, because it's such a busy time of year, that the shuttle has availability for the day and time you're looking for, because we all fill up very fast out here, and you don't want to have to hang around in a hotel or
At the
anything
bus
like that at the
station
bus
or
station, train
train,
station,
airport.
airport, because if somebody might not be able to get you for a day or so because
right.
it's so busy out here, and that's extra funds spent, or somewhere along the line you're going to be spending some time instead of just getting right out to the trail hiking. So contact the shuttle ahead of time to see if there's availability. Definitely.
And even so, I see a lot of mistakes made online. There's a lot of answers going on, and not enough people that actually do it that are answering. So there's a lot of different answers coming at people, and it's confusing for a lot of people. And we have found throughout the years that people just come here and call as soon as they hit the airport or something, and then they're stuck there. We've had people sit there for, 2 days later, they're calling us from Atlanta trying to find a ride up to the mountain or Amicalola.
Mm-hmm.
And during aspiring through hike season, man, that is a really busy time. And a lot of people say they'll pick people up. This is another thing I see. People will get online, they'll be, asking about a shuttle, and someone will chime in and say they will pick them up at whatever so-and-so time. And, this is 4 months in advance, 5 months in advance. So this person, the rider or hiker, is counting on that person to pick them up and give them a cheap ride or even a free ride. And so what usually happens, probably, I don't know how many times it happens, but or the percentage, but I do know this, that we get a lot of calls from people that had that plan and they get here and the person is busy or something came up. So it completely,
It happens more than it does not.
it does, and it happens every single year. And another thing that happens is a lot of fly-by nights, is what we call them, will come down here and they have no idea what's going on. Maybe they took a couple shuttles in their through hike or came out here in section hike or whatever, but they come down here thinking that they can GPS timing, and you can't. It just doesn't work that way, because when you GPS something at 1 a.m. at night or 1 a.m., it's not the same traffic as 6 or 7 a.m. in Atlanta. Mary and I have actually sat in a hotel and watched the traffic come down through, and just learned everything over the years on how to maneuver the safest, quickest route through Atlanta to Amicalola or Springer Mountain.
We are definitely going to the airport several hundred times a year.
Probably more than
Last
that.
year, I went to the airport about 450 times
Through hike?
during through hike, and I pick people up for section hikes also. And I definitely have a way of doing this that is the most direct and efficient way that works for us to allow us to pick up hikers, get them from the airport up here to start their hike. And what Donald's saying about GPS, you can't GPS something at 1 a.m. and say, oh, it's an hour and a half. I have taken 2.5 hours to get to Amicalola Falls from the airport because of traffic. The traffic flow, I know the traffic flow, Donald knows the traffic flow, we know what works. And when we tell you this is how long it's going to take, we know from years of experience of going to and from the airport, that's how it works. It's not made up, it's not imaginary. This is what happens out here.
Correct. And so Mary and I, 99% of our rides are flawless. And so we are very thorough, and we have given over a million and probably 1.4 million miles in rides out here. We used to have numerous drivers on the road. We've been doing this hard for years. This past year, we kind of slowed down and said enough is enough. It's really hard to make sure that all your riders are getting to where they need to go on time. We are very, 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 we don't like to be late. And so it's embarrassing, plus it costs money for us, and it costs time for us and the hiker. So, because we have to return the money if we screw up. That's just the way we work. And so it's super important to know your shuttle driver, because there are fly-by nights that will schedule you, and they'll stack the rides. And what will happen is, and this has happened numerous times, people will get stuck at the airport or at MARTA because the driver is not experienced enough to know how the flow of traffic works when the holidays are the city's congested, when what time it's congested, what time of year, what's the weather going to be.
There's events, there's construction, everything.
This all has to be taken into consideration.
Yes, it all has to be taken into consideration. An hour and 45-minute ride can be 3.5 hours. I've had that happen over certain holidays where you think you're going to get down there, and you hope you're going to get down there, but you leave early enough because you know that that's not going to be the case, especially if it's a time of day where people are going to or coming from work. So you have to contend with the normal everyday traffic, and then along with everything else that's going on down in the city.
Yeah, because like Atlanta, when you go down to the airport, it is at the bottom of Atlanta. So you literally have to drive up through the middle of the city or go around, which takes hours. But when you run up through the middle of the city to 400 or all the way up to LJ or however the driver is going, it takes time and it takes experience, and those roads are rough. And what I mean by rough is Atlanta is full of performance cars and wild drivers and accidents. If you look on our profile page, you'll actually see our YouTube page, The Real Grateful Hiker. And we're all over the place, but we do a lot of videos and post them. And we're just trying to show hikers what's going on out here and how it works, so they're aware of it. So when they come here and they plan accordingly. And so that's what we're trying to do right now, is make sure that people have a plan, or they know how to plan, because we're preparing them with a structured
structured guide.
Thank you. A structured guide. So, and this works. This is how we do it, and this is how we keep it organized. So, make sure that you check your shuttle drivers out. And I just want to say this about Uber and Lyft. You can take Uber and Lyft. That is possible, but usually what happens is once the Uber and Lyfts figure out that they're driving up a 6-mile dirt road during that time of year, which is super muddy, it's Georgia clay, so it's just nasty. I saw some people saying that it's not muddy and they drive up there 20 times a year with their Honda. Do not listen to that. That is not true. There are times of the year where, of course, it's just dirt road and not muddy, but man, that time of year, it is rough. And so after they grade the road, also, there's something called rock landmines, is what I call them.
Yes.
They're tire mines, and they pop tires left and right. So you have to take it easy up through there, because if you go a certain speed, you're going to lose a tire, which means you're going to have to take time to change it, and then people are going to be late. And so we don't like that, man. So we're very aware of that. We time it in. Our scheduling is... we make sure that we schedule in windows, and that we can, if something does happen, we are prepared to reach out to other drivers and other people, or I will go myself and make sure that that rider is picked up as close to the time, if not on time, to the scheduling that we agreed on, and get them to where they want to go from point A to B. So, but...
precision is key. Communication is your number one thing out here. If the shuttle driver and the customer communicate, it helps, because then they each know what they're doing. You communicate from the very first time your phone rings all the way up until you drop off your hiker, till they no longer need you, to whatever part of the state or next state they get into. Once your services are no longer needed because they're out of your area, communication key out here.
It is definitely communication. An organized driver that takes their time to talk to you, and we pretty much befriend most of our riders, or we take our time and talk to them because we can. Because Mary drives, and I actually sit and take in schedulings and work the other parts of the business that are needed to be done, and that's what gives us, I guess,
the ability to constantly be able to communicate with customers, because if I'm out of signal, Donald is always able to answer. So when one of us can't answer, the other one is right on top of it. We have messages left on our voicemails telling people how to contact us. If one doesn't answer, contact the other one. This happens, if I'm out of signal, or if Donald is out of signal for some reason because he's out. So there's always a way to get a hold of one of us. People can text us both at the same time. So one of us is always answering. There's never a time when somebody can't reach us.
And that's where it comes in. So when people come to the mountains with us, we sit